everybody. This is Barry Mankin here with the Holistic Home Health Podcast. We're coming to you from the sunny state of California. We're at our AQA conference here, and I have the man, the vice of the organization, Mr. Dennis French, and we're going to talk about all things IAQA and give you some personal stories, some advice, but we just thought we'd take advantage of this trip. It's just such a fun time just gathering the information, having a good time with people like you, and
Appreciate it.
coming in. And I learned so much from you guys, so I just want to welcome you to the podcast. We're just going to throw this up today when we're done, and obviously it's not like our controlled studio like we normally have, but I think it's real. And I think we have just such a good time here and good information to be able to share with our audience. So I appreciate you being willing to do it.
I appreciate it, Barry.
Yeah. So let's get into a few things. Let's talk about what you do now with your new business, LBR Huga Consulting.
Correct.
And so other than being the vice president of the organization,
yes,
here, tell us about what you do in Canada.
So in Canada, I'm an environmental consultant. LBR Huga, we started the company a couple of years ago, and it's a human-centered based approach to how people interact with the spaces they live and work in.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're having issues with air quality or heat or thermal issues, if there's things that are stressing and challenging your body, how can you be the best you can be at work? If your house is off gassing chemicals and you're not
right,
you're being constantly challenged with different parameters. Again, it's kind of along the lines of the healthy buildings approach put together by the team at Harvard University. That's kind of the overall philosophy. And I've been doing air quality work for over 30 years.
Yeah.
And as the vice president of IAQA, I took on this role about a year ago. But I've been a member, certified indoor air quality consultancy, IEC, for over 20 years now.
Yeah.
And it's just one of these things I'm passionate about. And to me, sharing knowledge and education and experiences it's a valuable thing. In my previous vocation, I had another consulting company in Alberta, Canada, and I had 25 consultants.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to share your experiences and share your knowledge of wealth, because not everyone comes to the table with the same life experiences.
Yeah.
So,
and what we do affects so many people.
It does.
It
does. And part of the problem is that there's so many ways to get information these days, and
good and bad.
Good and bad. Like, how much of it can you rely on? Right? Fake news and misleading information is a big problem. Yeah.
And that's all over. When I see forums on people that are suffering, it gives them an outlet for the pain points that they have, because nobody understands, and to some degree even the medical community has failed them in their plight, because they're not getting answers, or the answers that they're getting aren't helping them, or not helping them enough. And they're still left void with the way that they're suffering, and in a lot of cases they're either scared of the house, or they know something is tied to the house, or it's just a trigger from the house.
Right.
So whatever level of percentage of influence that is, they're suffering, and then they have this outlet online, and it runs the gamut between everybody from their experiences, telling them as an authority what to do, or the mold dogs, or the whatever. There's just so many people that they want a silver bullet answer or fix to whatever they're dealing with.
And that's the unfortunate reality of today. A lot of information is fear-based, and it's not based in science, reality, and understanding the systems and the mechanisms, whether it's in your house or the building you're working in.
Yeah.
And there's overlaps in those systems, but there are also very distinct differences in how these mechanisms function, how building sciences work.
Right. It's a whole system. Like the building is a system, period. Just like the body is a system.
Correct.
Yeah, that's one thing that I appreciate about our conversations earlier is that we both appreciate those same things. So, and we have that same approach whenever we're talking about the body and the buildings.
Yes.
Same approach. So, let's talk about. Let's get into a little bit more of some of the background, some of the things that you have done that have led you to where you're at. What got you into the sciences in the first place? I know it's almost like a bookending process for you.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm highly motivated by helping and acts of service. That's what
Yeah.
motivates me. And one of my core founding philosophies in all the companies I've owned is do what's morally and ethically right,
Hmm.
and the money will take care of itself.
Yep.
So,
Amen. I believe in that.
making decisions strictly on finance leads you down a slippery slope. Um, and watching people and hearing people's stories of suffering became a motivating factor for getting as much knowledge as I could to tackle these problems.
Yeah.
I started doing mold investigations, for example, before the New York protocols existed.
Yeah.
Before Health Canada had their guidelines, which were even prior to New York. Didn't know what I was kind of looking at,
Right.
but it's like, well, I got to be able to compare data to something. So, mold's around us all the time. So let's compare it to outdoor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And see what's going on. Again, the stories of elderly people that are so ill in their houses for whatever reason, whether it's chemically based or particulate based, and getting to the root cause of these scenarios and interacting and working with contractors that are like-minded as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of splash and dash that goes on as well.
Yeah.
And I'm just not a fan of that.
Yeah. We call it spray and pray where we're at in the South.
Exactly.
Splash and dash. I'm gonna have to write that one down. So you started out in the sciences, and then you had some construction in there as well. So tell me what some of those experiences, what that looked like.
Yeah, so some of the crossover that's happened over time. Again, in the 80s, I was involved in chemical and biological warfare testing with a company that had some contracts with the federal government and operating in electronic and pharmaceutical clean room testing. So that became the impetus of air quality. That's how it kind of started.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it progressed into consulting on structures, buildings, offices, general IAQ considerations. Then we started doing some renovations, doing some construction on my own, and realizing that, and there's some big gaps in building science. And when I would get called out to do assessments and investigations on 72 or 144 unit condo buildings for odor complaints or mold issues or water issues, it became really frustrating that I could ask the question of who is a general contractor, and then who was the general contractor on the second building, the same one, and literally it was a cookie cutter approach, and the problems were systemic.
Yeah, right.
And at the end of the day, who ends up paying that burden is the condo owners, the HOA members, the strata members, and they get hit with special assessments all the time to fix a building that was never done properly in the first place.
Right.
And it became very frustrating. I started becoming an advocate for, let's fix this. Let's fix these problems once and for all.
Yeah.
And I've actually been designated as an expert witness in Canada for over 25 years now. In anything from asbestos, mold, silica, general air quality parameters, working with all levels of government on projects as well. So it's been quite the experience.
Yeah.
And some of these issues have also have had negative. Some of these exposure issues have had negative impact on me as a person.
Yeah. I was gonna ask. Obviously, with being in the field that much and having the construction exposure, which I have had as well, knowing what you're getting into, and as your education, some of that education before you got too far in the weeds, in construction environments, you experienced a lot of that first,
Yes.
and then it probably just amplified your passion, I would imagine, because you had your own pain points.
I've had my own pain points. Yeah, I've been hospitalized a few times from chemical exposures in workplaces. Been on oxygen therapy to regenerate lung tissue. Been in environments that were beyond immediately dangerous to life and health, like fatal concentrations.
Yeah.
Holding my breath and trying to manage my way out of a laboratory environment.
Oh my goodness
where
gracious.
the concentration of chemical in the air was 200, 300 times lethal dose, which also burns your eyes, and I passed out on the street as I managed to hit the panic bar on the door as I was losing consciousness.
Yeah, wow.
And then from all my years of exposure, it was early on in the 80s, respirators were, they were there, but
that's for WIMS back in the 80s. So that's what we used to, when you're young, on top of it, the younger you are, it's like, I'll be all right.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll be okay. I'm strong enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Well, now, about in the last 15 to 20 years, the correlation has been made by the medical professionals that I work with that I'm now anaphylactic to penicillin medication that most people get for when you're sick. You're prescribed penicillin.
Antibiotics.
I'm anaphylactic to that now.
Unbelievable.
Likely derived from my penicillium exposure from working in moldy buildings. Yep. Penicillium is one of the first orders of growth on wet drywall and building materials.
Yep. See it all the time.
Very fast growing, and it's there within 24, 48 hours. It starts popping up.
Yep.
So now, I've actually gotten to the point now where investigation-wise, if I get close to a building that has a amplification that's significant enough, I'll start having symptoms before I even get in the building. So I can smell it before I get to the front door.
That's interesting. Not everybody can do that. And this is where we get into the weeds, folks, when we're talking about sensitive clients, which on our end, it's at least 30% of our clientele, if not more, because they're finding us more and more now, and we're getting more of those just within our market share. But your story is very similar. I mean, other than how you got there, but very similar to a lot of our clients, because our sensitivities are going up, our bodies are changing on how we are adapting, and our defense mechanisms are way beyond, like any trauma scenario.
Exactly.
It emotionally, it works in the same way, and people don't understand that this has directly related to the trauma, if you will, of the body.
And I think even on lighter crossover points, a lot of the mold exposure issues and some of the chemical exposure issues over the years have started to increase my chemical sensitivity to certain things. I have a hard time going into a shopping center because there's the perfume and the cosmetic department.
It's hitting you from every angle.
Yeah, so it just starts, headache and the eyes watering, and the biological side of things, the penicillium and some of the other mold species. Again, eyes watering, nose immediately starts to run, my throat starts to get like gravelly, like you got mucus stuck in your throat. And if it gets high enough, then my throat actually starts constricting.
Yeah.
So you've got EpiPens, you've got antihistamines with you all the time. Like this is part of it's in your computer bag.
Yeah, right.
You carry it with you.
Gee whiz, man! I can't imagine. I had I told a story before. I have a brother that was exposed to. It was before I was even in that industry. It was years ago. But they found just a whole city up above and in the ductwork where he was working at a new office when he moved in there. His body, everybody's got their trigger on how they get to that. His body chose cold temperature. When he would drink a soda, he would go into anaphylactic shock, and it happened to him 3 different times when it closed up his windpipe. And he was like, "I thought I was going to die." And they, by the time he gets to the hospital, and he's got some antihistamines in him and all that, he's fine. He's like, "I don't know what's going on." And they found, I'm sure, they had old leaky roof, they had terrible ductwork system. I'm sure it was full of whatever, but it was within 3 weeks of exposure. He just immediately,
the trigger happened.
It happened. Some people it takes a lifetime. are you a I guess what I typically see, and it sounds like we already kind of have our answer, but I believe like everybody's either got a direct reaction or a delayed reaction, or their toxic load just builds up in their body, and then they live in this fight or flight mode all the time because they're on tilt and they can't process it. They, their lymphatic system, whatever it is that it allows that to either mechanically or it becomes psychosomatic. There's so many different things to deal with when your load gets up, or your body just says, "No, forget that. I don't want that."
Yeah, and I think it's going to vary from person to person.
Yeah.
And for me, I believe my chronic exposures
Hmm.
kept accumulating,
Yeah.
and then it got to a point where it took less of an exposure each time to get the same reaction, and then
Hmm.
a little less and a little less and a little less. And now for me, it's you know chronic rhinitis and conjunctivitis. It's runny nose, weeping in my sinuses, constant 24/7.
So sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Wow.
that's the derivative of dealing with these environments, unfortunately. And this is where we can maybe help share and educate with the next generation. Hey, let's try and get ahead of this so you don't have these chronic unprotected exposures, so you don't have to persevere and deal with
Hmm.
the annoying spin-off and the side effect
Yeah.
of these exposure risks.
We always say that um, you're the filter.
Yeah.
Like we are the filter. We think about that from an air quality standpoint or marketing or whatever for most homes or most buildings, whether it's an office building, industrial, whatever. But when I think most of my market is residential, um, everybody thinks if they just put some magic box in a room or they throw a better filter in the HVAC, it's this simple approach to saying, okay, we're going to be healthy. Um,
Yeah.
Nobody takes the time or the education to understand why they do what they do to say, okay, is this really our best approach to get our best numbers in this house? And it really takes a diagnosis.
It takes a comprehensive diagnosis
Yeah,
because every action has a potential negative reaction.
correct. Yep.
So, during COVID, a lot of professionals were just saying, throw the highest efficiency furnace filter you can in your furnace. The theory being that we're going to filter out more particulate, more biological load. Um, the negative aspect of that, though, is that our ventilation systems are designed to take filtration ratings up to a certain point with a certain amount of static pressure. We start changing that, we're now messing around with the air volume flowing through our ductwork. Now, if you're in a air conditioning cooling mode, you may not have enough flow through your cooling coil. Now it ices up. Now nothing works.
Yep.
Or you're changing the velocity, and now you're promoting condensation and water dripping inside of your walls or inside of your concealed cavities, and you have extraneous water damage in something that never happened before.
Yeah,
But you've changed the dynamics of the system.
absolutely. That works with the overall pressure in the house too, because part of that balance is the calculation is based off of what's the space that it's trying to condition. And so if it's designed to have a certain pressure, it's affecting that pressure in every room as it's engaged. And if it changes, now our pressure plane changes, how our pathways draw in from paths of least resistance that draws in from outside sources from that envelope and how it affects that living space, all that changes. And so it's all about balance.
Yep. And we haven't even talked about how how the house was originally designed and constructed
Yeah,
versus now we've done a reno 5 years ago and put higher efficiency windows in, or
changes everything.
we
Yep,
put in different doors, or we changed from a mid efficient furnace to a high efficient furnace, and we didn't change duct size because, well, that's just the ductwork was there, and now you got different flow characteristics. The house was designed a certain way. It was
yep,
specified a certain way.
yep,
And every time you change a parameter, there's a cause and effect.
yep, absolutely. Hey, we get an energy credit for doing X, Y, and Z because again, we chase money.
Yeah.
We all chase money. Nothing wrong with saving money.
That's reality.
But yeah, it's a good thing. But every action has an equal and opposite reaction, or any kind of reaction, and then when you apply things like insulation to the attic or whatever, it changes how that house behaves. It can get confused. It
Mhm.
can get just like a person. Like we get confused. There's just so many different correlations between the house and the body that
Yep.
if we take the same concepts and apply them, I think we're more successful.
I agree with that. And there are certain things that we do to try and improve the performance of the building and improve our overall situation with the best of intentions.
Yeah, yeah,
Again, if you're blowing in new insulation into your attic, did the contractor adjust for the insulation stops? Is your attic still breathing the same way, or did they actually overspray it and now you've got no soffit venting, or the ridge vents are plugged, or whatever the case may be? And now the properties of the space are completely different.
yeah. I'm a firm believer in that every trade involved with the house should have some level of training related to building science,
Yes, I would agree
and
with that.
having some local networks of all the trades being able to meet and talk about their pain points together. If the local trades would have some governing body just to say, okay, once a quarter or once a year, whatever, to where all the trades or the heads of the trades are able to meet. Codes are usually what dictates everything, and that is like it's a race to the bottom.
That's your minimum standard.
It's like great job, guys. You got a D- on whatever if you're lucky.
And let's I'll speak about Canada. The National Building Code
You
is
guys
a
are better.
national code.
Yeah,
Well, I live on Vancouver Island, which is
yeah,
a temperate rainforest.
yeah. Right.
But if you get in the interior of British Columbia, it's semi-arid. And if you get into northern Canada, it's Arctic and permafrost. And then you've got all sorts of different dynamics. So what meets minimum code in one part of the country
Right.
has very drastic effects
Yeah.
on other parts.
Yeah.
The systems act differently. Again, it's a bare minimum.
Yeah.
And it needs to be adjusted regionally. It also needs to be adjusted based on the as-built design
Mm-hmm.
and how things have been renovated, updated, changed over the years. Building science is exactly that. It's a science around all pieces and integrated parts of the building, from the exterior cladding to the waterproofing membrane,
Mm-hmm.
to the sheeting, to the structural members
Mm-hmm.
with dimensional materials, the uh, the ventilation system,
Mm-hmm.
the mechanical system, so your plumbing, your exhaust ventilation for local exhaust in kitchen, bathroom,
Yep.
dryers. And things have to all be accounted for. Attached garage versus detached garage. These change things. When the windows and doors open and close, the dynamics of the building change
Oh
drastically.
gosh, yeah. Imagine if the building codes inspectors and the uh, you know the city ordinances would be required to take some sort of a building science course as well. So when they go in and they see something, they can just at least have a conversation.
Yeah.
They might not be able to enforce anything until there's consensus and everybody wants to change something, but at least they can be aware,
Right.
and say, here's a potential that you need to think about, general contractor,
Yep.
and go talk to your subs about X, Y, or Z, and because this is going to be a problem, or it's already a problem.
Yep.
You know.
Well, I had a real world example on the house that I bought on the island, on
Yeah.
Vancouver Island. I moved there 5 years ago from Alberta. So
Yeah.
Alberta's a totally different climate again.
Right.
And in the first year, a little blister, little bubble showed up on the MDF baseboard in the front living room window.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Then I pulled out my thermal imaging camera, and pulled out moisture meters, and looked at things. It's like, oh, okay, we got a fairly significant issue here. And that part of the world, we have 60 to 70 mile an hour winds in the winter,
Mm-hmm.
where we'll get 3 to 6 to 8 inches of rain a day.
Right.
From November to March.
Right.
So it's all wind driven.
Yeah.
And the front profile living room windows had some, little 18-inch by 12-inch vertical slide opening windows. Well, the drains, if you don't stay on top of maintenance on your windows, the little drains get all plugged with silt and organics, and in this case also moss.
Schmutz, we call it.
Schmutz, yeah. So when you get this driven rain, it can't drain out of the profile, it leaks into the wall system.
Right.
I ended up having to pull the entire front of my house off.
Oh, jeez, man.
And rebuild it.
Oh my gosh.
Because of, two little drains this big at the bottom of the windows that were plugged.
And you're already sensitized.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Man.
So that's just, again, life experiences. When things happen.
So it even happens to the best of them, right here. Like, so it's not just you guys experiencing it. It's the best. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Tell me what you do. I know we're talking just philosophically about the whole industry and all that, but what are some of the things that you do to keep yourself healthy, and B, what are some of the direct treatments that you're doing between traditional medicine and or if you're doing functional at all? And tell me why, what your thought process is, what got you to where how you're taking care of yourself.
That's always a work in progress because you're always finding out new information about things. So I use a combined approach of Eastern and Western medicine. So some holistic, naturopath, as well as some conventional Western style medicine. And in that case, supplements and some other treatments. I've had some blood work done that's showing extremely elevated concentrations of various toxins in my body. So I'm undergoing mechanisms to help me flush and purge and cleanse my body.
We talked about, was there an ozone thing and ozone? Yeah. I've done that as well.
Yeah. And so those are some of the things that are happening, and it's helping.
Yeah.
I'm still, it's not a one and done.
No.
It's a process. And then making sure my living environment is the safest it can be and the healthiest it can be, and try and be as health conscious as I can. Try and stay active. I play hockey 3 times a week, go hiking, take the dog for walks.
Yeah.
So I try and do those types of things, and cook a lot of stuff at home.
Yeah.
Organic based food traditionally.
Yeah. Diet, exercise, be preventative, keep the house healthy.
Yep.
And then you got Eastern and Western medicine. I like that approach. I try to do the same thing.
Yeah. And again, it's not going to be whoever's going down this path. You're not going to get a one size fits all.
No.
That's going to have to be tailored to you. It's going to take some time.
Yeah, there's a lot of intention that goes behind this.
I didn't get to this point in the course of a week.
No.
So it's not going to be fixed in a week either.
No. We had so many examples of different situations, contaminants. We even talked about 9/11, and where they get like a huge dosage in one day, and they've had a lifetime of effects from what their lungs are exposed to. But most people, they have, kind of like radon. It's over time, right? And I always tell people, I equate it to smoking, and they're like, well, is 2.8 bad? I was like, well, how many cigarettes do you want a day? And it makes it tangible and real. It's like to say, well, the EPA says this, but the World Health Organization says this, and they're both at minimum standards. So how much you want?
Yeah, radon is regarded as the number 2 cause of lung cancer.
Correct.
Unrelated to the radon specific, but we talked during the conference that I undergo pulmonary function checks for my lung health and chest x-rays every 2 years. And that's a result of my years of exposure and working in the asbestos industry and working around silicon, working around mold.
Yep.
And I still am running at, even though I'm getting up there in age and things change, I'm still running about 124% of capacity. So
yeah. You're like 86 though too, right? I mean, he looks young for his age. But
62, but that's close. I feel like I'm 86 sometimes trying to get off the chair.
Right. Well, and that's something we'll do another segment here. We'll get a little bit more technical. But I wanted people to understand your pain points because some of these names that people don't know, things like microplastics and silica, and most people don't even know what that is, or maybe they've heard of it, but they have no concept of how we're exposed to that. We'll get into that in the next episode next week. But um, when people understand that it's they think that if either we have all the answers, which we don't, um, or we don't share the same human element to this, and it's just, I mean, we're doing the same stuff. It's just this is just what we do,
Right.
and what we're passionate about. So, um, whenever we have purpose like this, some of this is flamed by our own experiences,
Yep.
and that it just gives us that much more drive to like learn more, like get context on everything that we're doing, understand the building science, so that whenever we're giving an action item for somebody, it's bang for the buck.
Yeah. And I think, again, one of the things that everyone may be going through some level of health response,
Hmm.
don't diminish it, don't dismiss it, acknowledge it, and try and figure out root cause. And it might be something that's quite easy to fix.
Yeah.
But just don't live with it, because chronic, sustained exposures generally lead to sensitization.
Hmm.
So things just generally get worse. They don't usually get better.
Yeah. Well, it's like a leak, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, "Oh, yeah, it's just a little leak." I said, "Well, you think it's going to repair itself on its own, or you think it's going to get worse?"
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think of it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless it calcifies over and plugs itself off, it's going to get worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's pretty rare.
Yeah. Right. Um, tell me, there, we've touched on some of this stuff, but top problems or hurdles that you see in the industry, or related industries, that slow down the goals of what we're trying to do. Like, what are our roadblocks or our intersections where it really bottlenecks things so that we can't get this process faster? So many people either run out of money, or they run out of patience, or both. Or it's such an uphill battle that once they understand the scope of what they're dealing with, they're just overwhelmed.
I think that's a big problem, and it's different, somewhat different residentially, single family dwelling, residentially. Multifamily is different again, and office spaces are yet different again. From the office environment, the biggest hurdles that typically happen is the tenant, unless they have written into their lease a guarantee or a certification of, or a validation of conditions, they're at the will and whim of the property owner, which is looking at things either from an energy management standpoint,
Right.
or a cost control standpoint. When you get into multifamily, whether it's row housing or apartment style,
Right. Yep.
condo complexes,
Yep.
now you got HOAs and stratas you got to contend with, which may have a different financial consideration. You control your space, but once it crosses over into common property space, which is corridors, wall cavities,
Yeah, the wall cavities. Yeah, they don't realize
envelope,
that.
you don't own that.
That's right.
The strata owns that, or the HOA, and or you could have a situation where your neighbor has an issue, which also impacts common property, which is also impacting yours.
Yeah.
Now you got three parties involved in this dialogue. So that really adds complexity.
Yeah.
And to uneducated people, like, it's just a little bit of water. It's just a little bit of whatever.
Yeah.
The one we have the most control over is the single family dwelling. But that can also be handcuffed by what the root issue is, whether it's an insured loss, uninsured loss, or whether you're just going to cover it and just get it repaired yourself. So it depends on who the stakeholders are at the table.
Right. So much of this reminds me of just it's part and parcel of the medical industry. Like, who's driving it, and we talked about the tension, if you will, between the traditional or the Western medicine versus functional, which usually a lot of Eastern philosophies come from there. Some of this comes from California, but you know, thinking outside of the box. in a lot of ways, I think whenever we're addressing the House and people are trying to, you get this tug of war between um, what their medical provider is telling them versus what we're telling them, where we get into ERMI and
Mm-hmm.
mold dogs and all those other things if we're dealing with, microbial. But the other is the builders themselves,
Right.
the contractors who don't have the education. They don't value that because they're already compromised because their goal is bottom line, right?
Right.
And so anything that's a hurdle, like the real estate industry, if it's a hurdle to their paycheck, they want the quickest, easiest. It's energy, the
Yep.
quickest, easiest path, the least resistance for me to get paid.
Yep.
And the real estate industry is no different.
It's no different.
And all we become are hurdles, but we're, pun intended, we're filters,
Right.
a healthy filter.
A health filter.
But we're trying to get the same thing. We're all trying to do the same thing. So when we get bottlenecked, I mean, I think all these industries or the situation can slow the process down, and we're trying to deliver the path of least resistance to get to the best health for the money
Yep.
that a homeowner can get. And the insurance companies aren't driven that way either.
No, they're driven by bottom line and return on investment.
Yeah.
And some of your public adjusters and some of your independent adjusting firms, they actually go out of their way to guarantee they will save the insurance company 5, 10, 20% on the bill.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where's that coming from? Like, some corner has been shaved somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, it might be some legitimate cost saving ability, but when you make blanket statements like that, you're probably risking some outcome.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important, I think, for the public to educate themselves. That's why one of the reasons why we're doing this, to say some of these like whether it's regulated or non-regulated, there's arguments both ways about that as it relates to indoor health and how to deal with that. But if people get the principles and maybe even, dare I say, an order of principles, that's a little dicey, but um, to be able to apply to their homes so that when something comes up that doesn't line up with their values. I had a great podcast that I did with John Ellis, who was somebody that I mentioned to you before, uh, the top HVAC guy, in my opinion, in the country. But whenever we were dealing with um, people's priorities, he says it's always health first, and then we deal with comfort, and then we deal with all the other things that come into play, and then we get to energy efficiency last.
Right.
But the industry
is
going the exact opposite direction, and health becomes a last item or an afterthought.
And if it happens to be on the positive side, that's a
Great.
positive outcome.
But nobody has the intention.
No.
We don't build for health. We build for
economics,
for this. And so it really is up to the public to educate themselves with good education and good information from authorities in the biz. And really, I think it's just imperative if we can just get things done organically. That we spread the word on really the awareness about healthy buildings, what standards we adhere to, and what we're trying to even manipulate and make better. Um, then there's goals, and we can set goals and say, all right, we can do this.
Yeah, and interfacing and interacting with credible organizations and throughout the world, really, such as the Indoor Air Quality Association. We bring experts to the table to provide educational services to our members, and that's what we're here for. We're a membership and education based association.
Top scientists, I mean, top researchers, industrial hygienists, top guys in their field. And me, I'm the way I look at it, I'm just hanging on coattails. I'm coming from the ground up, and I'm just trying to. I'm always learning every time I come here, and it just helps me make my game better for my people.
I've been doing this for a long time, and over the last 3 days, still walk away with nuggets.
That's right.
There's still little gold nuggets that get sprung upon you. It's like, oh, didn't know about that.
Good point. Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
I need to ponder that. Yeah. Except that my end, I'm like, That's a lot of nuggets I gotta do.
Process and prioritize.
That's right. Well, I want to thank you so much for this time. I think it's going to help a lot of people, and um, I mean, this is just invaluable. So I
That's
appreciate your
been
time.
my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one, guys.